Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening, everyone. We are starting just a few minutes late this evening, but what I would like to do is as we are waiting on our guests to arrive, I'm going to go ahead and start the show. So by the time I get done reviewing our guest's wonderful bio, we should be able to get started with a wonderful and great evening, a full interview here. So I'd like to say just good evening to everyone and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And I am your host. My name is Kimberly McLemore. Welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have Jackie Melendez, who is an influential speaker, professional, innovative cultural specialist, and founder of Women Networking Worldwide. Jackie is a medical administrative specialist in the U.S. Air Force and veteran of New York Police Department who has survived domestic violence and knows firsthand what it feels like to experience being falsely accused and had to clear her name. And had to clear her name. She chose to rise above the stigma with the art of healing and forgiveness by identifying her triggers in order to create true self-love and awareness. A proud mother of 4 children who has embodied confidence, courage, and resilience from her strong stock. Her children are her world and help Jackie stay focused on the legacy she is creating from them instead of looking back in the past. As a supervisor of the Patient Access Department, Jackie exudes a welcoming spirit, which is a part of her DNA, along with the servant's heart. Her mission is to change the thoughts, language, and perspective of what diversity and culture look like in the world. As an influential speaker and professional innovative cultural specialist, Jackie created Women Networking Worldwide Empowerment Socials with the mission to provide personal and professional development to generate diversity, culture, networking, and the art of building relationships. With a people-passionate demeanor, Jackie provides a safe space for individuals to speak freely about their personal and professional concerns and challenges in order to create amazing and powerful opportunities for support and collaboration. WNE Empowerment Socials helps form connections and positive conversations with the intent to shift fear into courage and confidence by touching topics that are thought about, but many are afraid to address and speak on. So, without further ado, please help me welcome my special guest, Miss Jackie Melendez.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, how are you?
I made it. That's all I can tell you is I made it. I ran against time and the New York City Transit, and I made it home in time.
Yes, you did. I said, we're going to start this. We're going to make this happen. I gave everybody my disclaimer, so we're good.
My kids was texting me, Ma, you can do it. Ma, you can do it. You always say stay positive. And I'm like, yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Well, welcome, Jackie. I'm so glad that you're here. It has been a long haul getting you here on the show. So, why don't you just take a breather here for a second and then tell everybody just a little bit more about yourself and what you got going on.
Well, thank you again for inviting me. Thank you for your patience. I knew we were going to do it. You said a lot about different aspects of what I've done in the past. I figured it's a good thing for me to touch on what I'm doing in the present and in tomorrow, which is always important. So what you shared was my stock, my foundation, where I came from and how I've gotten to where I need to be. So I believe that I am placed here to be a life servant, a public servant. And not only working for the city or, I used to work for the city or being in the military, but reaching out to people and connecting with people. I think that's very important. That's why I love working in healthcare and dealing with patients and dealing with the families. Because when you come to the hospital, It's not a good time. Even when you're coming to have a baby, you're scared or you're in
That's
pain
right.
or whatever. So being in a hospital field or healthcare or whatever, you have a PPO, HMO, or if you don't have insurance, there's a lot of fears involved, a lot of different elements. So having someone who's friendly and outgoing, someone who makes you feel you're important, it's about, getting better and recuperating and healing. It's a different aspects. It makes you feel like I'm important, I'm human, and that person, vice versa. So I think that's very important. So one of the things that I'm proud about with women networking worldwide, besides loving and supporting and empowering women, I think that it's important for men to do so. But how are they going to know if we don't tell them?
That's right.
So you might have an aspect of what, support me, respect me, empower me, is, but your aspects of those different elements might not be the same for me, or it might not be my need now, or my need now might change 6 months from now, or on a public or on a professional or personal level. So besides having my influencer women circles, and I pick women that I see as influencers, but maybe they don't see themselves as influencers. So I've been doing that maybe once or twice a month. Pick a few ladies to sit down with me around the couch and share a meal or some appetizers or whatever, and share some stories. And I think
Hmm.
that's important to do.
Hmm.
So in saying that, I did the same for men. I did a group, and it was such a great response. And these men have been through different aspects of their life that they've been impacted and influenced by women. That was the key thing.
Hmm.
So they have these amazing childhood growing up in rich stories. They have these moments or these family moments that, mom held it together or grandma held it together. And they have such a sense of love and respect for us women that it's great to hear it. Not all men are horrible, just like not all women are trifling. So it's important for me to highlight those things. So that's one of the things. I did see the questions that you asked, that you sent
Hmm.
me, and the one that I really liked is the second one: who influences me?
Hmm.
So there's two, I don't want to say two people, but one person who influences me, and then a group of people that influence me. The first one, of course, is my mother. She came here from the Dominican Republic, not knowing any English, not having any family, and being able to work and support her family back there, and being who she needed to be to keep her family together. So my mom,
Hmm.
I lost my mom 26 years ago to
Wow.
breast cancer, but I know she's with me. And technology and medicine wasn't what it was then.
Right.
So as women, it's important to feel comfortable in your skin, to
Mhm.
do things for yourself, but remember to listen to your body.
Right.
Because exactly, yeah, we can't buy
Right.
parts on Amazon and get it shipped over 2 days Prime.
You're
So,
right about that. You're absolutely right about it. But let me ask you a quick question though.
mhm.
You talked about, so you say that you really want to get involved and talk too much about the past, but your past is what made you who you are today, and
Absolutely.
all the things that you have gone through has given you the ideas. And even though there's been others who have influenced you along the way, I really want to hear the story of whatever story you want to tell me, because I know there's some multiple things that have gone on, but
Mhm.
you fought back in some things that most people would not want to even discuss. Now we know, I'm a domestic violence survivor. You are, so I don't want to focus on that, but I really want to hear more about what happened. About being falsely accused and you had to clear your name, because there's a lot of things that people don't want to deal with. And I think that topic right there is one of the major things that probably have pushed you over the edge beyond some of the things you've gone through, into creating this wonderful networking system that you have now.
Exactly. So I don't have a problem visiting the past, because I learned how to separate something. Some people, and I was one of them for a while. I was still living in my past.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn, which I learned recently, I would say last year or so, that I have to live on my past, not in it. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm living on my past, I'm still getting the energy, positive energy, using the right words. Um, if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be here today. So I was in a domestic violence marriage. It affected not only me, but sadly, it affected my two older children from my first marriage. And that happens. Um, and I was very ashamed of what things were going on because during that time I was in law enforcement and I was a domestic violence officer. So I can
Wow.
understand when people say it's very hard to get away or it's very hard to
Mhm.
walk away. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of different
Mhm.
elements. And I understood some of it because of seeing family and friends go through it. But it's different when you're in that situation.
That's
It's
right.
totally different. So, with my ex husband, he made some choices that brought me down. And the choices that I made, um, and I mean, I'm going to keep it very simple. He made some choices being outside when he wasn't supposed to. He should have not, but that's how it happens. And he brings this home. And I was in a state that you made emotional decisions without really thinking things through because you felt like you had to react. And that's how I felt. I
Mhm.
always felt as a provider and the person who kept my family safe and together. So thinking that I could be like a normal human being, say, okay, let's take care of this in the morning. You can go turn yourself in the morning. That's not what happened. And I was involuntarily brought down. I always had very good intentions in upholding what I did as far as work, but it didn't work out that way.
Mhm.
Um, and prior to that, I remember maybe a week or so, I was on my knees crying because I was really fed up in that relationship I was in. You know
Mhm.
that show that you've seen before? It's called Snap. A woman
Yes.
snapped.
Yes, ma'am.
Girl, I was pregnant, and I was thinking that I was going
Oh.
to snap. And I remember about a couple of days before the tragedy happened, the life tragedy, the life lesson happened. I was in the kitchen doing dishes, and he was, oh, who's gonna, want a woman with 4 kids because I was pregnant with my daughter, and
Mhm.
um, how they try to bring us down. Who's gonna want a woman with kids, and
Mhm.
you're overweight. Of course, I'm pregnant, but and I told him, I said, you know what? God help me. If you don't get away from me, I'm going to be one of those women on that show snapped. And I think that the way I said it, the voice, my look, my energy, he just like backed up
Mhm.
and left. A few days later, the tragedy that happened was, I don't even call it a tragedy anymore. It was the energy that needed to happen for things to
Right.
happen. So I was arrested.
Mhm.
Um, and I had to work really hard at clearing my name. And
Yes.
that was a journey because I was embarrassed because I felt I was a failure. How can this happen? How couldn't the marriage go a different way? How did, everything come to be? And it took a long time for me to learn to forgive myself and to start
Mhm.
healing
Mhm.
and come out of depression and being sad and eating too much and then having my baby and am I going to be emotionally stable for her, all the trauma that I went through and the stresses, is she going to be okay? And then my boys, dealing with what we went through, and my
Mhm.
dogs were exposed to a lot of things, when issues are things happen and law enforcement comes into your house. It could be a disarray, it could be a lot of things.
Right.
And I'm not mad at anybody. Everybody did what they had to do, their jobs, their position. I'm grateful for what happened because I was able to handle it because nothing comes your way that you can't handle.
That's right.
I've always learned to push myself more. And the person I am today, I'm not the person I was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And a lot of people tell me, where do you get your energy from? And,
Mhm.
you know, and I get my energy, I'm trying to figure it out, but my energy comes from me always wanting to push myself a little further because I know I can.
Right.
Because I know I can, because I know I'm strong enough, because I know I'm enough, and all these positive things. So I've changed a lot of my mindset.
Mhm.
So I am happy that I went through, embraced the challenges that faced me, because I am a better woman today.
I bet you are.
Yeah.
And the thing that stood out to me as you were explaining what you went through. Now, during the time that you said you were in the as a veteran of the New York Police Department. You said you were actually a domestic violence. You were a coach. You were actually in a program, but nobody during that time. Nobody knew you were actually going through abuse as
Bec-
well.
because I hid it so well.
Wow, and that stood out to me. For I was like, did she just say what I thought she just said?
Yeah,
I mean, the thing that amazes me is, like you said, you put on the facade and you were able to help those, but you were struggling helping yourself.
of
So,
course.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So so what really beyond the breaking point that you were standing in that kitchen that day and you were saying, you know what, I'm about ready to snap. I'm going to be a part of this movie. And, you did snap in a certain way. And here it led you having to be arrested and all that. What else was going on through your mind beyond the embarrassment, beyond understanding that the rules? It's like, the rules of what it means that you can't touch this person, you can't do this or that, because you understand the laws. But what else was triggering you at that point that it said, if I don't do this now, what's going to happen with my children? I mean, all these things that are running through your head, I'm sure.
At the end of the day, besides feeling embarrassed and all, I think those were the preliminary emotions, feelings
Hmm.
that I was going through. At the end of the day, I was happy I was out of that situation. I didn't have to walk on eggshells anymore. My
Right.
children didn't have to walk on eggshells. And then it took me a while for me to say, this was supposed to happen.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then I was able to breathe and say, I'm going to be okay.
Right. Exactly. And
Yeah.
the one thing I do love, like you said, and I agree with this 100% because it's my big thing that I constantly get upset about when people, I don't like to be called a survivor. And the reason
No.
why I say that is because like I tell people I was surviving when I was going through being abused. And like you said,
Hmm.
we are no longer we're not that same person.
No.
We're no longer in the survival mode. And
Nope.
not a lot of people understand that and really actually take offense to, well, why are you not? Well, this is what you are, a survivor. No, I'm not. I was
No.
surviving during that time. I am a whole different person. And I love that you even recognize that as women or men, whoever has been through domestic violence, that a lot of people still hold on to that past. They're hanging on to that tagline of, oh, I'm just a survivor. No, we have lived through it. We've been
Absolutely.
through it. We're here to talk about it and to help those to walk through it as well.
Absolutely. So I look at myself as a double veteran, a
Hmm.
veteran from the United States Air Force,
Yes,
and
I'm
I
a
am a
veteran
vet.
too.
There you go.
Navy.
And I am, see, Air Force Navy, and I am a domestic violence veteran. So I'm a
Hmm.
DVV. There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Because I'm not living in it. I'm not, oh, I should have done this. I already went through that.
Right.
Oh, maybe I should have been a better wife. Oh, maybe it was his fault. It's done. It's over. I
Exactly.
learned,
Hmm.
and I feel like it's important to empower. There's still different aspects of healing, but I believe there should be
Hmm.
healing for women, for men, for
Right.
children, because my boys, those children, are now men.
That's
And
right.
I want and they know, and we talk about things like that. So I know that my three sons are going to be different. They will
Hmm.
make a difference. And that's important to me. That's very,
Absolutely.
very, very important to me. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And okay, so now I want to talk and kind of focus on this amazing women networking worldwide empowerment socials. When I was reading your bio, it just brought chills to me because I love the fact that here you have a actual networking group or events that you put together. People can actually sit down and talk and be real, and not have
Absolutely.
to sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm going to tell the story today, but then when I walk out the door, what is going to happen? So tell me a little bit more about how the network works and what is it that you guys focus on and then what are the steps you take to improve the circumstances that these men and women are talking to you about?
So when we do an example with the women, whether it's two women or three women, I like to have where I go to one restaurant that really hosts me a lot. And the reason I like to go to this spot in downtown Brooklyn is because they make me feel comfortable. I'm at a place in my life that it's, like you said, it's not about the show and tell, it's about feeling comfortable. So I'm
Hmm.
able to sit down, we have some wine. If you don't drink wine, you want soda, you whatever, to make you feel comfortable. And then I always ask the ladies, how did you feel when I asked you that I wanted you to be part of my influencer women circle. And they're like, I never thought of myself as an influencer woman. Sometimes there's different perspectives of things, and there's different opinions and views of things. You have to, I believe it's important celebrating other women.
Mm-hmm.
There's something we have to celebrate about each other. We don't do that enough. We have
Right.
a lot of women talking about, look at her hair, look at her glasses, she got the same bag, she never goes on vacation, blah blah blah. You know, why? Why we have to be like that? What about, how was your day? I like to be inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
When I go on Facebook and I put a lot of extra inspirational things,
Mm-hmm.
I notice that I do that when I'm not feeling myself. When I'm feeling blah blah and my energy and I'm going down, I for some crazy reason feel that I have to inspire others because then it makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Smile, it looks great on you. Hey, friendly reminder, you're amazing. Hey, beautiful humans. I mean, it just makes me feel better. So that's why I always feel that it's important to be intentional and purposeful. So when I talk to these ladies and I ask them that question, then I tell them, tell me who you are through your perspective, through your eyes. I want to know who you are, who you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about things that we have in common that none of the ladies know each other, and they end up creating such great friendships. I bring up other questions, who was an influencer for you, and why was this person influencer for you? What changes have you done in your life from last week to last year?
Mm-hmm.
I ask them things that maybe they don't talk about because they're humble, or maybe they don't think about it's important to them, but I want to know. And we create a really good bond. So, from all the groups that I've had, we have a chat group, and every week it's important to celebrate each other. Every week, if you have something going on, if you're mentoring someone, if you're going back to school, anything, it's just conversations talking about courage that maybe you didn't know you had courage. So courage, conversations, communications, and collaborations. And that
Love.
applies to everything, personal, professional, everything. I mean, just sit down and talk.
Mm-hmm.
I just have,
Absolutely.
I love the communication. Yeah. And the men have been really, when I asked the men, the four group of men, the four men in the group, they were like, yeah, when you told us you wanted us to be, individually, they said this, that you wanted me to be part of your influencer group. I never thought of myself like that. And I was like, but why? And they were able to highlight amazing things that they do in their community, in their church, as
Mm-hmm.
husbands, as fathers, as sons. And it was an amazing energy. It was phenomenal. So all that energy and that conversation and the togetherness and the new friendships, that's all I'm looking for. That
Mm-hmm.
makes a world of a difference. That to me is fulfilling.
And it does. I like the way you talked about, the courage to be able to come forward and really talk about who you really are. And some of the questions
Absolutely.
that you just said and that you asked them, most people don't think of themselves that way. You know, how are
Exactly.
you an influencer? And you're like, wait a minute, what does that mean, right? So, for
I,
most
I never
people,
thought of myself I never thought of myself as anything. I was just like, I'm
hmm
here. And
right?
then I realized, no, I'm not. We're all here for a purpose. We just have to
Absolutely.
find it.
Absolutely. Keyword, we are all here for a
Here
purpose.
for a purpose.
And we all have passions about something, but 90% of the time we don't want to deal with those passions. And when we do think about it, we always find a way to talk ourselves out of it. So
Exactly. We are our worst enemies.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I love your networking program, how you bring that out of people and they're able to sit there and just be candid about being them
Yeah.
and that it's okay. So once though they sit there and they have these conversations, what process of healing do you have them or help them go through and think about so that they can move forward and know that they do have a purpose?
I think that when they share, I think especially with the men, when I was asking them an important, I want to know which woman in your life made an impact, which woman in your life kept the family together.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to take steps back and smile. And when I was growing up, and the way they said it, the way they shared it, the passion, the love, that woman really made a difference. Um, It was beautiful.
Hmm.
I think it was just them sharing that, and you can see that glow in their eyes.
Right.
And I think that a lot of healing sometimes comes on a personal level, on a private
Hmm.
space. Um, they always reach out to me. Thank you, sister, for this on the third. Thank you for your encouraging words. So healing is different. It's different levels of it, different perspectives of it. But as long as you continue to do so, just like I tell the men, a good morning influencer men, share what have you done. What you've done today. Two of
Hmm.
them wrote books. The other one is in art and music. They're all in the arts, but there's different levels of art. So
Oh wow.
whether it's writing,
Hmm.
yeah. One of the men has a survivorship for domestic violence women organization. The
Wow.
other gentleman, he writes books, he writes poetry, very encouraging, very empowering. The other gentleman is into music. So there's so many different levels. And then the other gentleman, he is an art teacher. He is a very, very, very big advocate of the arts in our community. And he's also a great artist as far as painter and things like that. So I think that being so humble and having someone say, "You're amazing," it makes you feel good. We need to hear that. Thank you, Kimberly. You really made my day. You made me run today when I knew I had it, and you really pushed me
Hmm.
to be intentional, because I left work and I was helping my coworker who's a supervisor, and
Hmm.
he's been having some issues with his mom. And he said, I really need to get your opinion. And for him to share personal stuff about his mom made me feel good that he was able to ask. So
Right.
I know that was part of my work, you know yeah. But I mean, it just takes a few people at a time, and I think that's important.
Absolutely.
Just touching a person's life, making them feel special and letting them know I'm here. You can reach out to me anytime.
Right. And the thing that I like that I heard you say is that, I mean, it's one thing to pat ourselves on the back, and say, hey, you're doing a good job. But we all love to hear somebody tell us what we've done well for the day, or
Yeah,
just that moment. It's just knowing that somebody even cares. That's usually the most important part, because we live in a very stressful world. Everything is moving 100 miles per hour, and when you sit down, you really don't have time to sit down and think about you, because you got so many other things going on around you.
absolutely.
What we're going to do in the morning, what about work? If I don't do this, I mean, everything is usually more based on negative and things that we do that we conform to every single day. It's just the same old routine. So to be able to have somebody sit there and just listen for the few minutes about who I am, what I do, why I do what I do, or this is what I'm going through, and then being told that you're doing a good job is important.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excuse me. So, well, the one thing I want to ask, if you had any advice to give to somebody who wants to start a business, what would that be?
Drink
Excuse
drink
me.
some water.
Girl, I don't have none in front of me.
Um, so if someone was starting a business,
Mhm.
or I believe if anybody's starting any life mission or anything, I think it's important to believe in yourself. Number one, be the best you always. I one of the things that I like to do, whether it's I'm writing one of my ebooks or writing an event that I want to have. An example, I met these wonderful ladies in February, and they were telling me about their second volume of books. So they have anthologies. All these women, different aspects of life, have breakthroughs, and they write their chapters, and they've created their books. So they were telling me about, volume two, and I was like, well, did you have a book signing? Did you do this? And they were like, no, we didn't think of it. So it's all part about celebrating. I like to write things down. To me, it's important to write down.
Mhm.
I grew up in the era that we had penmanship in school. They don't have that anymore. So writing things down, I see things clearly. Then I'm able to create a plan. If you're going to start a business or a startup or non for profit or anything that you're going to start, dream, create different levels in your head, write it down. Once you write it down and you look at it, I think it's a better you get a better perspective and a better aspect, and then break things down into different levels. How am I going to accomplish this? How am I going to tell someone about my business? I'm very big into representation. So what colors are going to represent my business? How is my logo going to captivate and represent what I'm doing? There's resources, Small Business Bureau. There's a lot of women's mentoring programs. I have a lot of resources. There's a lot of things that I do as far as startups, leadership series, connecting you to
Mhm.
the right person,
Mhm.
panels, workshops. I'm always available. So if anybody's ever interested in asking, let me know. Reach out to me. I don't have a problem. I can be reached on Facebook, IG, Twitter. But I think that for anybody to start anything, what is your purpose behind it? If it makes you happy, and you're thinking about it all the time, and you're dreaming about it, then go for it. Find the way, find the method. It's a process. It's a slow process. You can't
Mhm.
think of something today, let's say May 3rd, May 2nd, and think it's going to be in full effect in, September 1st. It
Right.
takes time.
Exactly.
It's like birthing a baby,
Right.
growing a plant. It's a process. There's a lot of elements, but it's a learning process as well. So if you come across some bumps, some obstacles, some potholes on that journey, never give up. Just
Absolutely.
look at it. It might be just that you need to revisit or rethink, or maybe you thought going this way is going to help you. Maybe you should have gone that way.
Mhm.
So falling forward with your failures is a good thing, because it's telling you, don't do that. Revisit, relook, do it a different way, and you might have success. um Always keep moving forward. And always, I remembered something. I was taught something. Ask. If you need help, ask. There are some people
Absolutely.
that don't have a problem with sharing. Some people don't have a problem with guiding you,
Mhm.
holding your hand.
Mhm.
Ask. You can never do it alone. You can never ever do it alone. Again, you can't do it alone. Ask. You'll be
That's right.
surprised.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because well, furthermore, you can't run any business or talk to people without people. Everything
Ex-
is done with people. So
Absolutely.
be humble. Don't be
Absolutely.
afraid.
Never.
Realize that what you have, a service or product you may be able to provide, you have to do it with people. So
Absolutely.
if you're unsure about how to deal with the person, get a mentor, talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
They don't have to be doing the same thing that you're doing, but your advice is absolutely right. Asking for help, there's nothing wrong with it, and it's important part in order for you to be successful. So
Absolutely. Be the best you at whatever you do.
there you go. And the one thing I do want to point out that I loved when I was reading your bio, that you say my past is negotiable, and I sport my scars proudly.
Absolutely.
Love it. Love it.
Absolutely. You can't take away my past.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to, and I said it before, I used to be embarrassed and shameful. No, I don't want to be. Imagine, if I was a dish and I didn't have any seasoning, I would be bland. You don't want to know nothing about me. I can talk to you about depression. I can talk to you about overeating. I can talk to you about what it is to be divorced. I can talk to you about what it is to raise 4 children. I can talk to you about what it is to start over. I can talk to you about being homeless. I can talk to you about all different types of things.
Right.
I have a lot to share. It's great I'm seasoning. I'm just like your adobo and your freaking sofrito. I have a lot to give. I got a lot to share. And that's fine. And that's wonderful. So,
Mhm.
how am I going to hide that? Because if I hide that, then I'm hiding a lot of other things. I'm hiding being human and making mistakes, but learning and not doing this. Now, if you do the same mistake over and over, it's a choice. It's not a mistake.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
yeah, I have to be proud of who I am. If not, then how? That's how I got here.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So
All right. Well, it has been a crazy show between my coughing and everything running late. It may sound like I'm about ready to die over here.
no, 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 no,
And
no.
I'm not even at home either, so I'm like in a whole different location. So, but I do appreciate you coming on the show. But before you go, please tell everybody again how they can find you and get a hold of you and get your services.
So I'm Jackie Melendez on Facebook, and then I have Women Networking Worldwide Facebook group and page. I'm on IG also, Women Networking Worldwide, and then my other IG page, which is my personal one, would be Jackie T1 Melendez, and I'm on Twitter as well. You have my info that if anybody reaches out to you,
Absolutely.
collect, individually, you can share with it. That's what we're here for, to be intentional, to help each other, resources, support. If I can make a difference with one person's life, then that's great. That's wonderful. Mindset, be happy, think positive, all those great things.
Well, you definitely exude that and you bring that to everybody. And I'll tell you what, it has been a phenomenal evening again. I thank you for your patience and thank you for allowing me to get through my craziness over here. And
That's okay. Thank you for allowing me to get here on time with the MTA.
you're welcome. So again, thank you for coming on to the show this evening. You have been a positive, wonderful woman, and definitely would love to have you come back again so we could do this again and
Absolutely.
right without all the extra drama in between.
That's okay. Thank you.
All right.
I look forward to it.
You're welcome, sweetie. Again, thank you for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. For everyone else, it has been, like I said, a crazy evening. We have been between the starting late, between me choking and all the other good stuff. But I also would like to say thank you for taking the time to listen to my show this evening. We just had a wonderful young lady named Miss Jackie Melendez, who, like I said, is an influential speaker, professional, innovative, cultural specialist, and founder of Women Network Worldwide. It's been a pleasure having her on. Before I do end the show, though, I would like to take just a couple more minutes and talk to you for the fact that if you would like to be on the show as a guest, all you need to do is in 2019 is give me a copy of a short bio, a pic, and a logo. And you would need to send that to Kimberly at WSBILLC.com if you'd like to be a guest in 2019. The other thing I would like to talk a little bit about before I end my show is that I have two amazing things going on right now. For the most people who do know who I am an author. I have a new ebook release out on Amazon called Are You Living or Existing? The Pros and Cons of Balancing Life. So you can currently get this book for $3.99 again on Amazon. It is the new ebook release. I also have a major event coming up in August that I would like to share with some phenomenal women in Easton, Pennsylvania. I'm doing a self-publishing workshop there. We're also doing an amazing networking brunch. And please, we'd love for you to be there. You can find this information on Facebook. And this, again, is going to be in August. It's going to be on August the 17th, in Easton, Pennsylvania. We will have Chrissy Joy Met. We've got Miss Wandra Kane, and we have Michelle Dofiger, who will be a part of this event. And I'm telling you, this self-publishing workshop is going to be off the chain. I hope to see you all there. If you have any questions for me, like I said, you can reach me at Kimberly at WSBILC.com. Or you can reach me through my other email resources at KMM123, McLemore at gmail.com. Again, thank you for your patience this evening. And thank you for having me have another wonderful show. My guest was amazing. We will see you next week, same time, same place. And good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.WSBILLC.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.